Okay. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to see everybody and have your presence here. And today's an extra special live, although it's not live because I couldn't figure out how Facebook works, and that's okay. So we're coming to you pre-recorded, but today's extra special because I'm not giving you a taste of my medicine. I'm giving you a taste of a previous client and soul sisters of my medicine, Erin. She worked with me for 3 months this summer, and I am just, I was baffled then by the results that she got. And even still, she'll send me little messages saying, hey, guess what? This is what's happening. So I really wanted to take the opportunity to introduce her to everybody and just have her share her experiences, her wisdom, and where she is now. So Erin, I'll let you introduce yourself and anything you'd like to share about who you are to our listeners, and we'll just dive right in.
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Erin. And like Angelica said, I am one of her previous, I don't even want to call clients because I want to call it like tribe. That has completely shifted my life into another direction than what I even thought it could be. I had an expectation going in that it was going to be something, but it turned into something that I couldn't even imagine. So we'll get back to that later. But I am a mommy, number one, to three amazing boys. I have a 3-year-old, a 13-year-old, and almost a 10-year-old. This has been the most challenging, I think, as a parent with the times that we're in now, with having to juggle, work and school and relationships and friendships. And part of what made the work with Angelica so amazing is that communication between all of us is so open, and it's really strengthened. And without that, I don't think we'd be as together as a family as we are, because these times are pretty tough. We're all at home in these four walls all the time. It's really hard to, put that line between, are we at school? Are we at home? Are we over here? Like, what is going on? So that's first and foremost my most important role to this day. I'm a person in recovery. I am a family member of a person in recovery, and my loved one is also in recovery. And those plays a process. I am a partner to somebody, and that is really what brought her. I'm a friend. I'm a neighbor. I'm trying to go through all the roles that I do in a day. And it's
quite many. And you do so. It's always been amazing. And I've always loved being on calls with you because you handled all those roles simultaneously with such grace and such openness and effective communication. I loved watching you interact with your sons while we were still on call. And there was just so much lightness around them being present. And there, a lot of mothers, especially juggling all of these roles, get frustrated and burdened and might feel a little resentful, but I had never felt that from you. And it was clear the way your boys communicate with you, how they feel like equals in the household. And that was just something I had personally never seen before. I knew it existed, but something that I just felt was so beautiful. And I just wanted to reiterate how amazing you juggle all of those roles. And it's not even juggling. You just do them.
Work, I'm going to say, soul work brings to your life is it touches each place that you interact with somebody. Even when you go to the store and you smile at someone, or, instead of giving them the dirty look because you're just having a bad day, your energy touches so many places, and you have that ability to shift someone's own day just by your reaction with them. And that's been a really important piece with my family and with my sons, is teaching them as boys growing into men that it's okay to talk about your feelings. You need to talk about your feelings. There's just no place to go, especially in this work. But I explained that to them. I'm not angry at you. I'm not frustrated with you. I'm frustrated with that. And I guess it's so normal to me, but other people, I get criticized for it. You're supposed to control your children. It's not my, no. Mm-mm.
No, and you just,
Not my
it's
thing.
those interactions have been just so beautiful to witness. Somebody's at my door. I'm just gonna All right, so thank you so much for that. That was a perfect introduction. I'm curious, and I think our viewers are curious too. Where were you at before we started working together? What challenges were you experiencing in your relationships? You can either talk about your romantic partnerships, or even, because we did a lot of work around family dynamics too. Where were you at when we first met?
I was at a place where I wanted to change my relationship, but I wanted to change him. So, a lot of it was, how do I get him to do what I want him to do so that I can be happy? Because we were both people pleasers. Ebro, and I'll say his name, Ebro and I were very codependent. So we were always trying to do things to get the other one to be who we needed them to be. Mm-hmm. And it's very typical in recovery. Once we put the substances down, that became the next thing that came up, is that I'm a people pleaser. I'm addicted to that outside validation. I didn't know how to give it to myself. At the time when I came to work with you, I was beginning to understand how to do that, feeling connected. And I think one of the things you said to me was, I had this feeling that somebody lost their soul. And you're like, it's not lost. Like, you never lose it. But that's what I kept saying to myself, is I've lost my soul and I need to find it. Mm-hmm. And that's really what brought me to you, because that's the work I kept getting into in my own recovery, trying to teach others, meditation, yoga, sitting with yourself, self-compassion, self-love. So it's kind of like, the bud was coming up. The bud was there. I just needed to bloom. So I needed some water. I needed some sunlight. And you were the perfect gardener to come in and help me do that.
Oh, that's a beautiful metaphor. Thank you. What was your biggest fear that you had to overcome in order to say yes to investing in coaching and committing to yourself in a way that you've never committed to yourself before?
I was going to fail, because that was one of my biggest hurdles in life, is that I hated the feel of failure. I'm a shamer. So whenever I failed, I had my internal script of, you're not good enough, so you're never going to amount to anything, this life isn't meant for you, just give up, the whole slew of insults. I knew that I was going to make some people very unhappy. I was going to ruffle feathers. I was already beginning to, at that point, to kind of like say yes when I meant yes and no when I meant no. That's a lot of what my relationship is based on, again, is, not being true to my word and just giving them what they wanted so that I could be happy when they were happy. Same thing with my close, intimate family relationships. A lot of the times I would just morph into somebody to be in that space with them so that they felt kind of comforted, where I was not being true to who I was. So I felt very conflicted and constricted in those situations, in those relationships. So I knew that I was gonna piss people off. There was going to be conflict coming, and I don't know how to manage it. Let's be real. I did not know how to manage through conflict. I would shrink in those situations. So it was definitely failure, having to deal with pissy people. And I was responsible for it. So my whole life, I'm responsible for other people's happiness. So now I'm going to be responsible for their misery. And I taught some people some really bad habits. And I did that, and I had to take ownership of that. So a lot of truth was going to be coming. And I knew it was going to be truth that I needed to hear, but it was going to be hard to swallow. But I was ready. But I think those were the biggest things that I had to stop doing so much. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to sit with myself, and I was always here, there, everywhere. And I knew I was going to have to slow down and take those moments. And that was scary for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I share with my clients when we first work together, is these shifts. You fit in a box in your family and in your relationships for so long that once you start getting out of the box, even though that's your true space, once you stop acting small, it is going to ruffle feathers because you've conditioned them to who you pretended to be versus who you actually are. And it's going to be uncomfortable at first. But here you are on the other side of it.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I think light is the only way I can describe it. I never realized how heavy I felt carrying all that burden, all of that shame, all of that junk, all of the lies, and all the times I would run through my head where I'm telling someone, I'm like watching myself say, that's okay, I forgive you, or that's okay, it's not a big deal. Things, it would be a muffle, and it was heavy because I had to carry that every time I interacted with this person, and it was just like, and then it's like, you just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I didn't have my substance anymore because that's why I use substances. That's why I became, a person addicted to heroin, to opiates. Is it numbs you out. It numbed that part out. So I didn't have to feel, hear. I could just, but that's no way to live. So as those parts kind of came to life, all that stuff came up with it.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I know, you just amaze me. So what, we've kind of already alluded to this a little bit, but what were the results that you saw in your life and your relationship, your romantic relationship, but also if you wanted to speak to your familial relationships too, because we did a lot of work around that over the past 3 months. And who did you have to become to see those results?
I had to become someone that I didn't fully recognize. So I think that was kind of part of it. I was like, who is this person? Because I'm not familiar with her, but she feels good. Like, I like her. I had to become my own best friend again. I had to learn who I was, try some things out, try some, shoes on, try, see how it fit. That one's a little tight. I'm going to put that over here. It's not for me. Oh, this one feels real comfortable. So it was just kind of like this childlike of exploring different things. And the world became kind of just fun and exciting. And that's the part that I'm at now, is I'm so excited to see what's to come. However, I've experienced a lot of loss in there because the people who weren't meant to stay with me, who were as part of that, that pattern, that cycle, have fallen away. So in the mix of all the joy and all the great stuff was this dying in a sense, because those pieces were really just falling behind. My circle was getting smaller. I wasn't expecting that. Again, people pleaser, it was really triggering to going, oh my God, I don't have any friends anymore. Everything's a little crazy because I'm on this spiritual hoo-ha path. I'm a stranger to my boyfriend. He has no clue who I am. So, I was really just very vulnerable. And I still kind of deal with that sometimes. I get socially anxious. I'm like, but that's normal. And I comfort myself in those moments. My relationships, especially my relationship with my boyfriend now, has kind of, the layers have peeled away. The layers of, I want to call it fraudulent love, or that fake love, have really just deteriorated. And we're really left with just the core of what kind of brought us together. But is it enough at this point? Like, he's going through his own battles and struggles. And I'm kind of on the other side now. And I'm not willing to take on what I was willing to take on before. I'm not willing to endure some of the things that I've had to endure. So we're really at a crossroads of, one of the things he said to me before he left was, you showed me your value and you stood by that value. And it's either I have to change or I'm going to lose you. And that was like incredible to me, because I was like, holy shit, like, I actually did this thing. Because that was not the norm. I had no value in the relationship. So it was, standing up time after time of saying, that's not okay with me. That's not okay. Even though I was saying aloud, that's not okay. I'm not for this. This is this is my boundary. And we're here. So, and same thing with family, was that constantly being clear about how I want it to feel. I don't really kind of go on thought per se. I'm a feeler. So, I want to feel a certain way. So it was really, well, I don't feel this way anymore. So that's not okay with me. And I would either pull myself backwards. I would remove myself from situations. I would say I'm not okay with that in a certain kind of way for that person. My father, who wasn't in my life for 3 years, I think now at this point, is now returning into my life. So I don't think that would have happened if those shifts didn't occur.
Right. Could you speak a little bit to how you overcame those initial discomforts of ruffling those feathers and stating and standing in those boundaries, and how they feel now when you're doing those boundaries versus when you first started to implement them?
Well, when I first started, I had Angelica. So I would message you. I'm like, is this okay? I don't know. This feels really weird. I don't know. And that's the beauty of coaching, is that you have like your little spiritual soul best friend mentor, like in your back pocket. And I legit blew your phone up a million gazillion times with all these crazy, like, because this was not my normal. Mm-hmm. This felt wrong. This did not feel good in the beginning. It was super uncomfortable. I didn't know how to manage my emotions or say what I wanted to say. So there were some blow-ups. There was just like vomit coming out everywhere to anybody who wanted it. And it didn't feel good. So there were many times where I had to go, okay, so this is what happened. This is what I wanted to happen. So how do I get there? Because I'm having a hard time putting it together. And that's where you really were such a tremendous help, because you were comforting. You weren't judgmental. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you, it was just it was like a soul sister. Like I could come in there, put all my junk down on the table. You were honest with me. You didn't sugarcoat anything. Mm-hmm. But you really guided me and asked me those important questions to get me where I needed to be.
And now, that's yeah, thank you so much. You made it easy. Yeah. And now that you're setting up your boundaries more so, and it's become an expectation from others, what's the magnitude of that discomfort now versus when you first started?
Oh, it's very minimal. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it was like soul shattering. I was like, there's many times where I questioned myself, like, I don't think I should be doing this. Ego was like, stay small, stay small, stay small. You're not supposed to do this. So it was a constant, like, very aware challenge, where now it's like kind of second nature, look a little bit in there, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, is like, I'm literally got I would say half a foot in at this point of the junk. But I manage it. Like, I have that conversation with myself, and I trust myself. Like, for a perfect example, I've been wanting to put together a spiritual practice for myself, because I don't have a lot of me time. So I literally have to kind of schedule it in. So what I noticed is I was starting my day off kind of like on the wrong foot a lot. And I'm waking up with like these kind of negative things in my head already. Like, I'm already kind of spinning myself. What am I doing that's kind of causing this? And like, what am I feeding my soul? Well, first thing in the morning, I'm picking up my damn phone, I'm looking at Facebook. Like, I just became very aware of like, what do you do in the morning, Erin? Just do your natural thing. And I pick up my phone, I lay in bed, and I look at Facebook, and I start I'm bombarded with all of the negativity, the ads, the fear, the scarcity that's going on right now. And then, like, I'm an empath, so I'm just absorbing this stuff right through. And before I know it, I'm judging myself, I'm judging her, I'm judging him. I'm like, what the freak? I've literally changed that one thing. Like, I give myself a few minutes to connect, and I'm like, hey, I'm up. What do we got going on today? What's the intent for today? Mm-hmm. Complete shift. But it's just being aware. that what is outside of you affects you.
Absolutely. And your self-awareness was always impeccable. Absolutely. I just wanted to speak to, while you were talking, I was thinking you came, speaking of your self-awareness, you developed a lot of your own strategies around becoming you, right? And shifting back into who you truly were, that I didn't guide you into, but they were really, really cool to watch and witness, including your alter egos that you came up with.
Yes.
Could you speak to those ladies for us?
Oh God, Joey still, he'll ask me, he's like, who's here today? He's like, who am I interacting with? So I had one pretty, rotten night where I lost it. It was something very, looking back now, insignificant, but very significant. And I just redone my upstairs front porch. It was my Zen den. It was my beautiful space. And my toddler, it was a plant that I had, pretty much had a party with it. It was confetti. So there was just soil everywhere. And my partner had said, well, Bram broke your plant. So my mind was like, a little thing was broken, not like holy war. So I lost my junk on anybody that was present in that room. And it just continued. And I think everything that needed to come out, because like I said, like that lid was already off. So things were like just coming up that we were there for probably years. I had no filter. The filter was gone. So, as situations were arising, it wasn't just about the plant and the mess in the Zen den and something that was sacred. It was about all the times that someone shit on me and I let them. That's really what it came about. And I said some horrible, hurtful things. I treated people the way I shouldn't have, that weren't part of my morals and values. And when I was done with this verbal barrage of insults, I felt horrible. I felt really bad about the things that I said. But for the first time, I didn't shame her. I didn't shame that piece of me. I forgave, I comforted, and I allowed that space to be there. It was the first time that I didn't just shove it away and call it bad, label it that it was something disgraceful. You don't go there. You don't act like that. I just let it be. And I named her, and her name was Marilyn. So whenever I got into that space and I could feel, you told me, you said, so go back. How did your body feel in that moment so that it's coming? And that's worked tremendously. So when I start to feel that come up, Marilyn's here, she's in full force, and we need to do something productive about that to get that space out.
Yeah, perfect. And who was on the other side of Marilyn?
The other side was Sadie the goddess, Sadie, who I feel more alive today than ever. Sadie is the woman that I've always wanted to be, and I knew she was in there. I just couldn't reach her at those times. But Sadie leads with love. Sadie leads with compassion. But Sadie's also a badass.
Yeah.
And she says yes when she means yes, and she says no when she means no. And she's not afraid to be who she is. And she's not afraid to lose people, places, and things that don't align with her truth. But she's a beauty. She's a shiner, and she attracts so many different people. Even strangers will touch me for like 5 minutes, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's a freaking awesome human. And I always was walking with my head down. I don't know. Now that it's up, I just see all these beauty. Yeah. So she's kind of badass. And then there's Matilda. Matilda's kind of came up.
I didn't know about this one.
Matilda is the monkey mind. Matilda is the one who likes to be she's like the critic, but she likes to distract. She's my distractor.
Love it.
But Joey will tell his friends, he's like, Ma, tell Josh about your personalities. He's like, I'm like, what? He's like, that lady, what's her name again? So he thinks he's actually come up.
Reflects the emotional maturity that you've grown into. It's a miracle. Really, truly.
I treat them the way I wanted to be treated when I was, when I was younger, when I was growing up. I give them what I needed to flourish, I guess, in a way that my parents weren't able to give me, not because they didn't want to, but they just weren't taught. We're not taught to embrace our feelings. We're not taught to speak our truth. We're taught to stay in this.
While you were going after all of these changes and becoming who you were deep down inside?
The transitions, the shifts. And, I used to come to him like, oh my God, I'm like just feeling just a lot. And I'm just really, it just felt like birth. I don't know, that's the only way I could describe it. And that's how you just like, you're birthing something. So yes, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of where I just felt like, oh, I don't have enough space. Like I was shedding a skin, a layer. And that's what it feels like. It feels like a death in a way, because there's pieces of you dying, and they've been with me all of my life. So it felt like, yeah, this wasn't safe. This wasn't okay, but at the same time, like I can't sit in this much longer because I'm going to implode. Learning how to connect with them, really learning what my voice was and what my truth was, because a lot of the time I just didn't know. So there was many a chance that I knew what I really needed, because I didn't know what I really needed for so long. Well, I did, but I just pretend, I falsified that. So
you had alluded to this a little earlier, but in those moments where you were in the constriction, you were swimming in the sea of discomfort, what difference did support from me specifically make in those times?
So I needed outside validation in order to be validated. So a lot of the times the cycles and the people pleasing got me into relationships, not just boyfriends, friendships, with people that didn't have my best interest, or just narcissistic tendency, like that gaslighting to the point of it's like that reactive, like it's reactive abuse. Like you're just poking the bear long enough to where you just implode. So I had so many of those moments that when I felt the same kind of constriction, or the same kind of like I turning to you as it helped validate that I'm not crazy. Like that my truth isn't nuts. My truth is truth, because it's my truth and it's real and it's valid and it's important. And don't back down from that. Did they answer the question?
It's perfect. Absolutely. Okay. You nailed it. You're nailing all of them.
Because you're kind of like that voice that's always been there, that everybody's been trying to like squish out. And you were like encouragement. It was nurturing. I just felt safe, I guess is the word. It was safe. It was safe to be who I was. And it was like talking to my guides. It was, it was just, you're my soul on this earth. I was meant to connect with you to move forward in this space. And I always felt just, like I said, never judged, never criticized, comfort. I was home. I felt like home. I don't know the only way to describe it.
Thank you. Thanks for that reflection. It's beautiful. It's giving me the chills. Okay. What does life look like now that you're in this new space of yours, this new place?
I don't know. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. All I know is that there's beautiful things coming. I get to create what I want it to be. I get to have my own vision. I get to have my own future. I get to live my life the way I want to. No matter what anybody, it's mine. It's mine. I have joy, like for the first time. I see the world in a different way. It's scary sometimes, but it's not heavy. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Because for me, things were just so heavy. And I would drag myself along. And I have the freedom from that. So when a challenging situation comes up, I know I can handle it. So this space specifically that I'm in now, a year ago, I was in the same space with him. And it's so dramatically different. Even my mental health counselor says, she goes, do you hear, like last year, this was crisis. You were losing your mind. You couldn't do it. You weren't going to be able to, how were you going to get by? And she's like, and look at you now. She's like, you literally were like, it's going to be, it's, fine. Like, it's not, she's like, that's such a huge shift. And that's the only way I can describe it is like, I still get scared. I still experience smallness, but I don't stay there. I know how to move away from it and back into alignment with like who I am. And I know a big transition is coming up, and I can't do this alone. So I have another person that my soul is lined up for me to help me through this space to really define what Erin wants. And I'm not defined by a relationship anymore. I'm not defined and held down by the expectation, wants, needs of someone else. And yeah, that's super uncomfortable. But for the first time, I think I'm in control and I get to say yes or no.
That's huge.
Huge.
And what kind, and then this may be a more challenging question for you, but comparing the same situation now that happened last year, what, you obviously you've dropped the attachment of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like? What has dropping that attachment allowed to come into your life as a result?
Another way. Another option. When you're attached to something, there's no other way. And you will do your damnedest to create that. And here comes Booger. Goldfishies. I would lose my mind trying to create that outcome. I would sell myself to the devil to get that outcome. And I still struggle with that. I struggle with that with trying to find out what I wanted to, my vision, and I came to you afterwards and I said, listen, I cannot, and you said one simple word, you're attached to the outcome, like the how will present itself. And that's getting much easier. It's taken me a minute to trust that the universe will provide, but it does, because I'm experiencing, like I was stressing finances and how am I going to get, and things just come up. Like these little angels just pop up. I have my sponsor who's like, do you need diapers? What do you need? And your needs are met. But when you try to control it and you try to make things happen and you're attached to how and what and where and when, it's friggin' miserable. Because we don't have that power.
Oh, amazing. I love hearing you talk about these outcomes and where you are now. It just makes my heart swell. So, okay. So a little bit lighter, what would you say to somebody on the fence about working with me, or really any coach, but given your experience, if they were like, well, I don't, facing that same fear you had of, I'm afraid of
do it. You're there for a reason. I just experienced this last night with my vision coach. I'm like, I'm shitting my pants right now, excuse my French, and I'm ready to freaking have a goddamn meltdown, aneurysm, but I'm saying yes, because I know that I'm feeling this way for a reason. My ego wants to keep me small, wants to keep me safe. I know that this is the next level. Like the universe laughs at me because I will like, please help me. And they like literally, here you go. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what I was thinking of. And it's like, dude, I did this so many times, like in my relationship, like because it wasn't what I envisioned for me. Well, most of the time in the beginning, it's not so hot. So you say yes. Like if there's butterflies in your stomach and you're just like, oh my God, okay, go for it, do it. Because it's in all of that junk, like that the beauty is like when you come out of one of those transitions and you've just been like, and then you finally experience just the hard work and the benefit, and you just feel the lesson learned and you feel that just drop, it just drops in the lightness, you're in. That's all you need. You just need to experience that once, and you will probably in the first like few days and you're in, you're sold, because it feels that good to not have to carry that crap with you. you're dropping baggage like it's freaking the airlines. Like, just let it go.
Oh, you make me happy. Oh. Well, Erin, it's been a real pleasure just not only being part of your journey, but watching the journey continue and watching you transform and just blossom into the person you've always known you could be. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you for spending this time with us and just telling everybody your story, sharing your vulnerabilities and your successes, and I think it's going to give a lot of women that encouragement to stop playing small themselves. So you're giving these women a mirror to the light that's within them, and for that I'm profoundly grateful.
That's all. I think that's my journey in life, and this is my education going through this stuff. This is my university. It's the university of the shit show, and you just have to go through it. And when you graduate, you have this incredible life experience that I hope I can be there in that journey like you are for other women, for the ones that like really needed it but didn't get it. And I am so grateful for any person who becomes coaches. Are so unique because you get to share, like you share pieces of yourself with me, to comfort me, to say you're not alone. Like you're not alone with some of these issues. I was there once too. And that's the comfort that I'm talking about, is coaches get to share that piece as opposed to like a counseling or something like that, is we really get to get into your life and help you define what you want. And that's very unique to each and every person. So I thank you for working with me. You met me at a place that I was able to do this. And that's continued to happen over this journey, as people are meeting me in a place of where I'm at right now. And that's not the norm. And that's what's beautiful about coaches is especially, they meet you where you're at. No judgment. Just where are you at? How can I help you where you're at? And where do you want to go from here? So thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. I have a lifetime friend. I do. I get so excited. I'm like, I gotta tell Jelly that. Like, she's gonna be so proud of me.
Yes, and I love getting those little celebration texts. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So if people are interested in getting to know you more, is that something that you're open to? Where can they find you?
I need a circle. I'm still looking, like us women need to stick together. So we need to have our circle tribe. It's one thing I asked you, I think at one point, do you have a group of like graduates who like just hang out and go for coffee and like just talk about their stuff?
Maybe that's a great idea to have. Yeah.
Just that support afterwards or during, because this is very unique. Like I said, a lot of people are like, holy shit, she lost her mind. But you can reach me. I work at Center for Family Life and Recovery. I'm a recovery advocate. You can reach me there. I'm on Facebook, Erin Lynn Wiggins. It's right there. I'm here for anybody that wants to talk and jab and just be real, I guess. No BS.
No BS. That's right. There's no such thing. Well, thank you so much for your time and your openness. And I can't wait to see where life takes you.
I can't wait either.
All right. We'll catch you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.